Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. Thanks again for stopping by the channel. I'm Sterling. It's always a pleasure to get together with everybody here once a week. Uh, I first off just want to thank everybody for the very thoughtful questions that you provide every week. Really, the questions you provide and all the care that you put into them are really the core of these shows. And I really appreciate everybody's concern and thoughtfulness and interactions with the channel. So thank you very much. Real quickly, a little bit of housekeeping. We're still running a contest when this channel reaches 17,000 subscribers. I think we're within about 100 subscribers of that number. I'll be giving away a free half-hour session with myself, and Linda Grindle will be giving away a free half-hour session as well. So that contest is still ongoing. In order to enter the contest, you simply need to enter comments on these shows, starting off with the word love. And then you also need to be a subscriber to the channel. And then if you are, we'll certainly make sure you're entered into the contest. The two topics for today, I should say the two areas we're going to cover. One is talk tracks, internal talk tracks, what those are all about. And then we'll also cover top 25 of frequently asked questions. So let's jump right into today's topic. So, kind of what are internal talk tracks and kind of what do they mean to us? We all have internal talk tracks, and really these are the messages that we repeat to ourselves both consciously and unconsciously. Many times talk tracks get developed early in childhood, but they can be enhanced and rewritten, if you will, as we get later on in life. Sometimes people say, well, I don't have an internal talk track, but you do. These are things that you always kind of tell yourself. All talk tracks are really important as kind of supporting the kind of lives that we live and how we manifest. There are techniques for manifesting, and I've covered those in some other shows. I'll cover them more extensively in some future shows. But the talk track that you tell yourself is very important to helping to achieve what you manifest in life. So, what are some examples of talk tracks that can be harmful? I'll give you a few examples here. One might be that I need love. I'm not getting enough love in life from others. Or I never have enough money, or I'm going to run out of money. Or I don't trust anyone because I know I'm going to get burned. These are kinds of talk tracks that, whether consciously and unconsciously, people repeat to themselves. Now, some good examples of talk tracks, and I want to define that here. I always find there's at least three very helpful elements of a good, healthy talk track. The first element is I'm living in abundance. So that's very important. Number two is I give myself supreme self-love. And the third component is everything I could ever want or need, I have, or I have everything I could ever want or need, already. And many times I'll talk to people and they'll say, well, that feels kind of foreign to me. It doesn't kind of feel where I'm at. Sometimes people will say it feels like I'm lying to myself, and I'll say, lie to yourself, but kind of lie to yourself for at least 3 weeks. Do it every day. Some people refer to these as affirmations, but I think it's just a helpful talk track to have, because what it does is it reprograms you for kind of everything you do in life. Remember, the universe, all of the universe runs on love and fear. And when you have kind of a negative talk track, you're really spending a lot of time on the fear side. That's false evidence appearing real. So, all these talk tracks have energy. They energize ourselves. They energize the people around us. So, quite simply, this is a very quick talk, if you will, on internal talk tracks. If you have other questions, regarding this subject, please put them in the questions, the comment area, and then we'll go through it in more detail. Now let's get into the top 25 countdown of frequently asked questions for today. So number 25 in the countdown: will the acknowledgement and contact with aliens change people's viewpoint with regards to world religions? Yes, but in an interesting way, I believe it will validate a lot of the research and things that have been done over centuries. For example, looking at how the pyramids were developed, or looking at cave drawings, those kinds of things. So it'll in some ways, they'll validate some of the things that history and research and religion have suspected. So it will shift it, it will change it, absolutely. But I feel it will change it for the better. Number 24, will Congress members be indicted for helping create the insurrection? Yes, I believe there's going to be a handful of Congress members. It feels to me like about half a dozen, about six. I think the FBI is already completely aware of who these Congress people are. In fact, my guides are telling me now it could be as many as a dozen, as 12. So between 6 and 12 Congress people, congressmen that will be indicted. But the FBI already kind of knows their linkage to the insurrection. So just a matter of time as they kind of build out the case internally before they move forward with it and it gets announced. Number 23 on the countdown. Some people theorize that aliens are the source or higher power rather than God. Is this true? No, aliens are not the one source or the higher source. The one source, the one force, or God is certainly unique and expansive across the entire universe. Aliens are not the one force. But it's interesting, many ancient civilizations confused aliens or ETs with gods or the one source, as they came down from the heavens, so to speak. Kind of primitive civilizations thought that maybe somehow that was God or that was the one force, but it wasn't. It was just simple confusion. Number 22 in the countdown. Since aliens use crop circles to communicate with us, why don't they just use our language? What's the purpose of coded messages we don't understand? So, there's a lot of sophistication in crop circles. And the reason that ETs use them is it's actually a universal language, a universal way of communicating. If you think about images that sometimes go in foreign sports cars where they don't use words, but they use a picture. Anyway, the types of crop circles being developed are universal ways of communicating. And there actually are many individuals on this planet that can interpret crop circles. So sophisticated way of communicating. Number 21, what do your guides say of how we can ignite the desire for treating people well? So this is a gradual evolution on the planet. It's not something that happens overnight, but the good news is over the next decade here, you're going to see a real effort across humankind to treat people much better. We're seeing, equality come into the LGBTQ and other, racial justice. We're really starting to see some great changes over this decade. So can't do anything, let's say, to ignite it overnight, but we're seeing some great gradual change. You can see evidence of it all across the news every day. Number 20, does the Earth have a specific purpose as a planet compared to other planets? Yes, there are many human experiences that you can only experience here on Earth. And there are things like death, destruction, jealousy, hate. Those are things that kind of uniquely, you have to kind of come down to Earth to experience. So in that way, the Earth does have a unique purpose in the universe overall. 19, will the women's soccer team ever get equal pay as the men's soccer team? Yes, absolutely. And I see that over the next 1 to 2 years here, that's really going to come into focus, and there's going to be real equality in the pay structure of the men's and women's soccer team. And here, you're already starting to see some incremental change in pay, but it's going to be very equal as you get 1 to 2 years out. Number 18, will Merrick Garland be able to weed out the Trump loyalists still in key positions that pose problems for Biden? Yes, they've already actually identified a lot of the individuals across Merrick Garland's organization and the DOJ. They're loyalists and will be causing problems. And I do see at some point we're going to see a shift here from Merrick Garland as the AG to a female AG. And at that time, there's really going to be some substantive changes that are going to come across in terms of weeding out loyalists to 45. So that's coming, absolutely. 17, some ghosts linger on Earth and are particularly malevolent. What is the best way to banish them? So outside of family members that come down to visit, there are some ghosts, if you will, or spirits that tend to hang out around certain structures or areas. Really, first off, a simple protective prayer can help relieve and move those spirits away from wherever they are. However, sometimes it takes a little more effort because, some spirits or ghosts or whatnot have spent so much time around a location, they consider it their home. So, nothing evil here, nothing crazy, but, some spirits want to hang out. And so simple protective prayer If it's a problem for you, we'll help remove them from the area. If they're a family member, obviously they have a reason for coming around to say hello. Number 16, I saw an episode of 60 Minutes Australia about women whose accents suddenly changed from Aussie to Irish. Brain scans show anomalies. What is this all about? So this is absolutely related to past lives. So this is very indicative of something that they had past life in other areas of the world. And so there's a memory there, if you will, in the human spirit that allows them to talk in kind of another accent or another language. In fact, there's examples of individuals that say that could speak English, had a major brain trauma, and then woke up and could speak fluent Japanese. So all these harken back to prior lives. That's kind of what's going on there. It's a spiritual integration with the human form, and that's how it happens. But it's amazing to see, absolutely. Number 15 in our top 25 countdown. Since according to the law of attraction, what you focus on grows, this is also work with people who are delusional. Well, it does, but there's always limitations. So remember, the whole universe runs on love and fear. So you could be delusional to a point where you try to create havoc or fear-based elements around your life, and they can start to affect others. But it's not successful in the long run, because anything that's purely delusional, let's say focused on hate or fear, doesn't survive. Love is the predominant energy in the universe and on Earth, and that actually does survive everything else. So you can be delusional, it changes your own sphere of influence, but long term it doesn't affect. Number 14, are angels and guides or God against cremation? No, all part of an earthly process. And it's interesting, many times I talk to individuals on the other side, and they've actually left their bodies. Their actually souls have left, sometimes days before their body actually gave up. So with real confirmation here, the souls are not in the human body, and cremation is more something that is an earthbound earthbound experience, and that's something that's fully supported by the universe. Number 13, is there international dark money funding these voter suppression drives around the country? Have GOP politicians been bribed to help these rich people keep their assets? Yes, absolutely. And I think, this has been talked about in a number of other shows that I've done, but yeah, absolutely. Now, the good news is that a lot of the dark money has been funneled around avenues of cryptocurrency. And when you use cryptocurrency, there's always there's a digital paper trail, if you will. And certainly when you link up cryptocurrency with digital wallets, there's a digital paper trail. So in fact, that's how the Colonial Pipeline, the FBI was able to get a lot of their money back, was through tracking through digital wallets. So yes, there is dark money funding a lot of these GOP efforts. And the good news is that we're going to be able to track down a lot of the sources and be able to clamp down on it. Number 12 in our top 25 countdown, do our pets that have passed know how much we love and miss them? Yes. They're all around us. In fact, as soon as they pass, all pets and animals are part of the angelic realm. They move very quickly to the other side. And actually, in many cases, they can come back to us very quickly, even in the form of a new pet. Unlike a lot of people, many times people may not come back for 100 years or longer, unless sometimes they're in very severe events like the Holocaust or maybe the 9/11 disaster. But pets know how much we love them. They're around us immediately in spirit and can come back very quickly. So yes. Number 11 in the countdown. Sterling, said that humans would be living underground and also in cities and the oceans with the help of ET technology. Do you also see the possibility of humans living in domed cities? Yes. So, this is all part of kind of the new ecological trend that'll be here on Earth in terms of having cleaner air, better access to food for everybody, so nobody's starving, more efficient scientific ways of growing food. So dome cities will certainly be part of it. And, a lot of billionaires on this planet right now have already been experimenting with dome cities. So it's coming, absolutely. Number 10 in the countdown, does our soul ever lose ground rather than progressing forward due to a recent incarnation? In other words, if we fail at this lifetime, can it set our soul journey back rather than moving us forward? No, we actually always move forward. Now, incrementally, the way you move forward has a lot to do with the life path you selected. So, for example, if you came down here to help millions of people, you'll move forward energetically in a very large sense. But if you came down here, let's say, to learn more specific lessons related to family, incrementally, that may be some small movement forward. But we always progress, we always move forward, just kind of the amount that we move forward energetically, if you will, in level. Number 9, do spirits wear the same outfits, clothing choices they did in their earthly lives as they do in heaven? Do their outfits change? Kind of interesting question. But when you cross over, and I see this all the time with people on the other side, you can show yourself any way you want. So if you, let's say, you're a man here on earth, you can show yourself as a woman, vice versa. You can wear anything you like. It's when you're on the other side, you actually manifest kind of energetically any way you want to look, clothing, race, gender. It's all up to you. And a good reference, people have heard me reference this many times, but take a quick look at the movie by Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come. You'll see some interesting artifacts in that movie that describe some of the things I'm telling you. Number 8, how do you think Democrats will fare in 2022? So the good news is I do see Democrats winning and maintaining control. Kind of the bad news, or the careful news here, is that it's going to be a lot of very heartfelt fights in politics. There's a lot of sneakiness going on, will continue to go on. So a lot of the races will be very, very close. There'll be recounts. It's not going to be an easy task. The good news is that the Democrats will maintain control, but just, you have to fight for every vote and every outcome. Number 7 in the top 25 countdown, do all animals like and appreciate music? Yes, and in fact, they absolutely love music. Animals certainly vibrate with all types of music, and in many cases, they align themselves with the music you like. So as you play music around them, they get accustomed to it, and as you find comfort in music and different types of music, they find comfort in it as well. Absolutely. Number 6 in the top 25 countdown, will President Biden get the Voter Suppression Act passed for all Americans? Yes. However, what I get on this is it's really going to be more out into next year, into 2022. We're going to go through a number of revisions, and this is like the For the People Act. So there'll be a number of revisions in it as it kind of gets fine-tuned, but it eventually is going to pass. It's just, again, this is another hard slog, for Democrats and for Congress to get this all done. So I don't see an easy passage in 2021, but as we get on 2022, certainly before the midterms, we'll certainly see a passage of the act. Number 5, is it possible that the condo building collapse outside of Miami is due to a sinkhole? What I get on that is there's a combination of factors here going on. There's a shifting in the ground. So I don't call it a sinkhole, but there's a shifting in the ground. And then there's a deficiency in kind of the architecture or the building requirements that went into that condo complex. So for example, if there's enough ground shift, the architecture and the building specs on that condo complex, were never designed to sustain those kinds of earthly forces as the ground shifted. So, I think some individuals right now in the news are suggesting there was some malintent. It looks like this is going to lead to new building standards and more rapid ways of checking buildings, more like every 10 years than every 40 years. But it's a combination of factors that contributed to that is what I get on that. Number 4, will Pelosi's January 6th committee be successful? It will be. And as you know, everybody tried to kind of approach this in a bipartisan way, and the GOP refused to kind of move ahead with that independent commission. So what Nancy's commission is going to do is really highlight many of the areas of insurrection, how it occurred, who's behind it, who's at fault. So it's going to lead to a lot of very good fact finding that will come out and be very, very helpful in prosecutions. So absolutely. Number 3 in the countdown, what will happen to the Catholic Church as more and more stories of abuse and murder come out? So we're seeing a real change and transformation in the Catholic Church. We are. And over the next decade, you're going to see very substantive changes in the way that the Catholic Church, in terms of its openness and ability to kind of rule on itself and to to be more transparent with the outside world. So you're already seeing, criminal prosecutions going on with some of the abuses that have taken place here. And so we're going to see good change over the next decade. So it's kind of like by 2030, we'll see a much more transparent Catholic Church, if you will. Number 2 in the countdown, do you see anything coming up for next week? I do see a continuation over police violence, and we've got a lot of mass shootings going on right now. President Biden certainly came out with some suggestions and executive orders to help with gun violence and reducing guns on the streets. I talked about that in a prior show as well as on the committee board. So there's more of that coming out. I do see new information coming out this week on the Florida condominium collapse and some of the rationale behind it. And, it's a very unfortunate occurrence, but I see more of that coming out. New information coming out on the border crisis via Kamala Harris's visit. And that information for me is going to reveal, in some good fact-finding missions as to ways that we can help take care of it going forward in terms of displaced families and new methods of tracking people. So I see some of that coming out. And I do see another refinement coming out in the Biden infrastructure bill. So I do believe it's going to pass. I know that as of today, Sunday, June 27th, at least across the news channels, there's bipartisan agreement on the bill, but I do see some minor refinements coming on as they pass it. And number 1 in our countdown, do your guides have anything to share with us this week? Yes. Use prayer and your personal power to affect change in the world. You can make a difference. So again, use your prayer and personal power to affect good change in the world. You can make a difference. So again, pleasure being with you. Thanks for taking the time to come by the channel and hang out. If you ever need to book a session with me, it's very easy, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Just look for the book online tab. For the time being now, I'm sending out a tremendous amount of goodwill to everybody and a lot of love to everybody and their families. Be safe, everybody. I always enjoy spending time with you and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.